And we're
We're
live
live. What's up with the bubble waters?
with the Bubble Waters.
Man.
Waterloo.
Waterloo, the
Blackberry.
blackberry lemonade.
Cheers.
Cheers. You know, I don't really like a lot of the Waterloos. Surprisingly.
What's that? There's Waterloo. What's that? Poppy. There's
Polar.
Polar.
So the Poppy, I think that's the one that's got the it's like the prebiotic.
Yeah, aren't they getting sued?
I don't know, bro. Like all I know is like somebody was like, "Oh, we got some Poppy." I said, "Okay, cool. Like I'll take that one."
Yeah.
And I took a swig, and I did not expect it. I expected it to be like this.
Right. But it was a little good, huh?
Oh, it's a little,
It was a little on the sweet side.
yeah, very soda-y, very like.
Yeah, see, I
Thicker.
keep it OG with the Pellegrino.
Oh yeah, okay,
I'm a Pellegrino guy.
straightforward.
Well, because I don't drink any alcohol anymore. I mean that's something that you kind of have to find new vices once you've been sober for like 5+ years.
Yeah,
Yeah, but love it, man.
was that like the main vice though?
What's that?
Like
Alcohol?
drinking. Yeah, alcohol.
Well, kind of. I think for me it was I recently read a story on a friend who also kicked the habit as well, and they said that their off switch was broken, and so I felt like I didn't need it, I didn't depend on it, but once I started, it was hard to shut off. Because it was just flowing and you were having a good time, and then just it was blurry at
Yeah.
that point.
Well, I mean, circumstance plays a lot into it. Like you're a very social guy, very
Yeah.
community-driven kind of person.
Absolutely, yeah.
So like, alcohol is easy on the social behavior.
Oh yeah.
So like when you're in that, I imagine,
It was tough.
yeah.
Like the first year, I would say, first year, it was very clear that I didn't need it. But the first 6 months, it was very tough socially to interact with people that I knew that loved me and cared about me. But I didn't know how to express myself because I would use alcohol as a means to loosen up, right? To, you know, just kind of bridge the conversation a little bit better during a social setting.
Did you find that like the community that was around you seemed to be set up for that, to be supportive of it?
Oh yeah.
Like you were around drinkers a lot.
Yeah. But at the same time, they were very like, oh, you're not drinking? Okay, that's cool,
So it wasn't a hard detach.
No, it wasn't a hard detach. Majority of the times it'd be like, some of my, day one homies, they'd be like, hey man, leave Walt alone, man. He's going sober. It's all good. More drinks for us,
That's cool.
And so the conversation was encouraging. So the mindset was also encouraging as well. So that was something I appreciated with everyone. But then, of course, people that I didn't know really well, that I would be out and about, they would be like, how come you're not drinking? And all of these questions kind of gave me anxiety.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was like, hey, like on some occasions, whoever I was with, I was like, hey, can we just dip out and head somewhere else? Because I just need to get out of here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it wasn't like, like I lost my cool or anything like that. It was becoming overwhelming,
Yeah.
And I didn't want to put myself in that position any further than I need to. So
Outside of the space of like having that question asked to you in the environment, do you feel like it was actually a positive question for you later? Like these were answers you had to come around to?
Because when you're in it, you don't really think of it as much of, is it helping me or is it not? At that time, you're just feeling whatever you needed to feel and then reacted according to that emotion, or that moment in time.
Yeah.
And so when I look back on it now, I'm like, I'm glad those things that actually happened. I'm glad I had friends that were also supportive. I'm also glad that I had like acquaintances and good people, good-hearted people, question enough to be like, so why are you really becoming sober?
Yeah.
And I think deeper in that question, it allowed me to find a better Walter,
Yeah.
a better waffle designs, a better process in designing more clarity, more, just everything was better,
Yeah.
And so I started loving myself more, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like more and more that I realized that alcohol was the crutch to my progress in anything that I want to do, creatively, physically, mentally, spiritually. It really, it really just allowed me to become this person that I really wanted to be,
Yeah.
And so I'm very appreciative of friends, family that were there, some that weren't there, but then, reconnecting with them, they're like, I knew you needed some time. Like it's funny how some people like can see that from afar,
Yeah.
They can just feel that energy or be in that space with you for a moment and realize that you have some things to work on.
Yeah, that's super cool, man. Because like, I I've had my own experiences with addiction, right,
Right.
and recovery and stuff like that, and a good amount of those relationships I needed to just leave behind, and that was a struggle in my own way. But there are some people that I've known that long, and interestingly enough, there's a couple where I actually get along better with them and have richer relationships today because I've just developed myself into something that was so different than I was then. And we reconnected after time, and the relationship is richer. And so that's interesting you say that. I feel like there's very small amount of those relationships,
No, yeah, I
but they're
totally
there.
agree with you 100%. There's always that saying where, the people that stick around are the ones that are for you. And obviously, there's a lot of, I mean, being in a social setting, like from the time that I turned 21, from being like in clubs and helping club promotions, and then, of course, moving to California and experiencing, the Southern California lifestyle and Hollywood and all these other things, you tend to just kind of accept people and say, hey, I got this vast network, just because you're young, right?
Sure.
But then obviously those people don't necessarily are the best people for you, and you don't know that until you like, hit a wall or hit this, point in your life where you're like, man, there's got to be more to life than just this.
Sure.
And I'm not saying this as in like the partying and the drinking or, the substance abuse and things like that with, certain individuals, but you just want more out of this life that everyone says is so grand. So what's the next, what's the next visual? What's the next emotional high that I get from just being in a new space? Like, is there more out there? Do I need to get out of my comfort zone? Do I need to explore other things?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's seriously one thing that I really explored, and that was reconnecting with like nature, like going hiking and being outdoors and cycling, and
Yeah.
now running with like Tacoma Run Club and finding a new community there. So embracing all these physical yet very worthwhile challenges
Yeah.
to put the mind and the body and the soul all together.
Do you feel like that was? Do you feel like that was the? Well, what was it before? I don't know how to frame this, but do you feel like that thing you're moving into now is like not that far off from what used to be challenging for you, or you feel like it's like the other spectrum of like this is probably the hardest thing I could choose to do?
It's probably I would say the hardest thing, because growing up I was never an athlete. It's never I aspired to become an athlete.
Sure.
Yeah, some Filipinos want to be like NBA players, but I mean, it's
I don't think a lot of us
it-
white folk are either.
it's far in between.
I've got the
but
genes.
but at the same time, it's like, I was just getting tired of the redundancy. The basis of what am I looking forward to on the weekends.
Okay.
Going to a club and, I love to dance.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I love to cut the rug.
Sure.
But at the same time, like, what is that feeling without alcohol, right? And it was weird.
Yeah.
It was weird to dance
The void.
at a wedding.
Yeah.
At like at a lounge with some friends, and I really had to sit with that, and be like, you know what? I'm like, this is this is a different me, but this is me, you know?
Yeah.
And so that was the beginning of the hard mental challenges that I just wanted for myself is like, okay, well, I can't be relying on this good feeling with alcohol or, you know, even with food, just simple, you know, using food as a crutch, you know? I've always been a big kid, you know what I mean? But I had this relationship with food where it's like comforting versus nutrition. And
Sure.
so the hard things that I had to do, the hiking, the biking, the running, that put me in a different mode, you know? That put me in something like, okay, it's going to hurt, but you're going to get through it. And the mental toughness behind that, the pain, you know, like they always say, you know, no pain, no gain.
Yeah.
That was something for me that I was new to, but I was embracing it, you know, every moment.
Interesting.
So I knew for a fact that this was something that was new and challenging, but at the same time very necessary for me to evolve into, you know, again, a new Walter, a new Waffle Designs, a new
Yeah.
whatever I wanted to create and be and be proud of someone who I was, you know. So
That's so cool to hear. I mean, like, for me, this has been a challenge for me. A lot of, you know, what you'll see out there is, you know, fitness folks and people are like doing all this, like run club, like physical challenges, like we're hiking, we're working out, doing all this stuff. One major thing that I had to awaken to within this last year for me was looking at it the same way, going, what is not what's challenging in general, what's challenging for me
right,
as a thing of development, right? And so like when I reframe the question, physical things aren't challenging for me. Like I went into the Marine Corps. I love like
that's crazy
I
that you
love
say that.
I love looking at a brick wall and being
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna run into it with my head first to try to break it down. So like that kind of stuff, it's hard for me,
Right.
just like everybody else. Like it's physically taxing. But the hard thing for the growth
Right.
isn't that. The actual hard thing for me was the opposite of it, which was learning to relax.
Oh wow.
So like working, or like I was raised,
Stay busy, right?
well, yeah, love was transactionary. So like
Right.
certain things like I gotta transact, I gotta get results, very result driven, do things
Right.
kind of. So like all that stuff was like easy. It was like just do this, just do this,
okay.
just do this, work, work, work. Like that stuff's easy. What's the opposite? Because
Right.
that's the growth. So
Right.
like this year I've had to really draw back and go, no, like when certain work is done, we're going to pour into not working. We're going to relax, take some Sabbath kind of action and
Right.
like rest and seek leisure. And that's kind of what this thing was about, really. Like that's how this thing came about, is like sitting back with people and having really good open conversations that lead really to nowhere. Like that was the first thing that
Yeah.
Kava said when he sat down. He's like, so yeah, because he's super like me, business driven kind of stuff. He's like, yeah, so what's the theme of this thing? And I was like, oh, I'll tell you in a second. And we just started up and started talking. I was like, there's no theme. We're just kicking it. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's dope.
Yeah, because
like,
you
that's
know, I
dope.
mean, in this day and age, there's like beginning, middle, and end, right? There's the work, and then there's the outcome, right? And I think there's something beautiful about just being
Being.
and just sitting still, or like it's like almost a form of meditation in some way that you can have conversation.
Yeah.
That's why I like so this new Walter that I'm kind of going through. I love conversations more than anything.
Yeah.
So that when you invited me here, I was like, oh, this is going to be really interesting, but I'm going to enjoy every minute of it.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
I don't know what we're going to talk about, but obviously, you know, there's a moment for us to connect, consolidate, you know, define certain things that we don't know about each other, and just see where this conversation takes us, right? And so, no, it's really cool that it's really cool that we're sitting here with our Waterloo and our Polar,
Yeah,
and just
Just presence.
you know, just presence.
You know, the thing that's always caught my attention, because I am super opposite, is people like you, EJ's another good example, and there's a handful of people that are just really like this. Jason Hewlin, like
Right.
really community folks,
Right.
people that know how to just like just community is like there with them, and it's so big, and they just know how to do it effortlessly, and they just live the thing.
Right.
They all have similar traits and aspects to their person.
Certainly.
And so, since your earliest days, I'm sure you could look at some of those things about yourself and see what it is that helped you, or at least like align those things for you. Like,
Right.
what are some of those things that like
Yeah.
you could look at in your childhood and go, these things right here turned me into this, and like community was important for me, and it grew around me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, being Filipino American, right? Like
That's the easy answer,
that's the
dog.
easiest answer. But I'll break it down
Yeah.
for anybody that's listening, where they have this challenge of fitting in. Because growing up, it was really difficult to fit in. It was either I was a hip hop head, or hung out with the white kids that skate, or I would get into trouble with gangs, right? And so those were my quote unquote communities of buckets that I could go to, growing up in the earlier days in Beacon Hill. But where I really found community and family was, of course, my immediate family, like my relatives. We had the Franco tribe was it's enormous in Seattle. I want to say it's one of the, I want to say like top 10 families of relatives that immigrated from the Philippines. And so you had my tribe, and then amongst that, like you know my aunt and uncle, they went to UW. So they were in the space of activating on organizations that our generation can kind of dip into. And so there was Filipino youth activities, there was folk dancing, there was anything to push the Asian Pacific Islander communities to either know about their origins, or you know anything documented to know about Filipino American history was here in Seattle, in Capitol Hill. I mean, there's FONS, which is the organization that is recognized by the Smithsonian, that allows Filipino Americans to look at the history that taps in back into, I want to say, the early 1900s of Filipino Americans, what they did, how they settled here in America, from the ones in Louisiana to the coffee bean sellers at Pike Place, you know what I mean? And so understanding where to fit in is like, was so important to me because I wanted to be accepted. So looking for acceptance, when I realized that I had a big enough family, that they were just as loving and appreciative for who I was and who I could just be, either Filipino or American or both, that was always available for me. But it didn't really happen until I joined the Filipino Youth Activities drill team, to realize that there was this greater community of other Filipino Americans, either half Filipino American, or just scratching the surface of what is Filipino culture. They were also on the same boat, so that also made me feel like I wasn't alone. And so being part of the drill team, I mean, it was very military like, with drills, and we played music and percussional instruments. But we also learned that we as a community, as a organization, need to be there for one another. So in the fundraising and, helping others, gain structure within, the core movement and marching abilities and things like that. So that helped shape my younger years, kept me away from gangs. So
Yeah.
mom and dad were happy. So at the same time, it also allowed me to spend time with all my cousins that were also part of the drill team, that I didn't necessarily have, I guess, something to like latch onto them aside from just being relatives. Like we looked forward to drill team on Wednesdays and Saturdays. That way I can see my cousins,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was a big part of my life, man. So, community as a basis, I learned a lot from drill team.
Yeah.
And to this day, that's a big part of my network, It's
That's
just
amazing.
the Filipino community in the greater Seattle area.
Yeah, because it's massive.
Yeah, it's huge.
Like I mean, I had no idea until I moved down to Tacoma. Funny enough, like I grew up on Whidbey Island. My dad was in the Navy, but even for a small town, Americana military world that I lived in the 80s and 90s, like every other kid's mom was Filipino.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like those dudes would go out on the boat, they'd
Yep.
go over, and like, man, I grew up knowing things about the world that like I don't think I would have known if I'd have grown up in other places. So that's interesting. But the question I was going to ask you is like, how many generations out? Because I feel like with a community that big, you've got first gen individuals still within the community, very
Yeah.
close. Like just because you were just there not that long ago.
Yeah,
Like
not too long ago. But I mean, if you look at, you mean like those that immigrated from the Philippines to America?
immigrating right now, probably.
Yeah,
I mean, you got
people are still trying to get in, you know?
yeah, yeah, exactly. So what I'm getting at is like the distance from the point of origin isn't too disconnected.
No,
It's
absolutely
still
not.
very connected and
Very
still very
connected.
present in the community.
And I think that's so important to anybody that wants to learn more about who they are. You know, I always tell like it's funny because a lot of people ask me like, "Man, you're hella Filipino," and I'm like, "And?" That's like me saying, "Hey, bro, like, man, you're hella white, you know, or you're hella black, you know." And I'm like, "Well, I mean, it's really up to the individual to take it upon themselves to dissect themselves, right? Otherwise, they can just be like, you know what, fuck it, I'm American.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, I'm American, but also I have roots, you know, and cultural background, you know, in my blood from the Philippines. So like, that interests me, you know, and it's just there's enough of that out there to be like, you know what, let me explore this. Like, this is fact, you know, like I am a descendant of a Filipino who is first generation Filipino American. Sure. But let's go back to the motherland and see how far we can learn about our roots, right?
Yeah.
And it's not for everybody. Some people don't care about it, but I have chosen that path to try to understand where does this bloodline and lineage come from, you know? And so learning all that stuff from where my parents grew up and, you know, they were raised on a farm and, you know, how my grandparents, you know, worked out, you know, deals with the U.S. government to contract and build houses in Hawaii to, you know, get my mom and my aunties and uncles to America or at least into Hawaii,
Yeah.
citizenship and all that stuff. Like, it's really interesting to learn because just like anyone that enjoys history, this is my history, you know, this is my ancestry, you know? And so learning more about that. And I'm still trying to go further back just to see what, you know, how far I can really go back. And that's something that I have to explore when I actually go back, you know, to my parents' hometown, you know?
Yeah.
And so the connection it's unreal because growing up, I've been to the Philippines maybe like a handful of times, like 5 or 6 times. This past trip, you know, with my wife, Cheryl, we ended up going to a region where I had no idea of. And it's her family region. It's where her roots were from, you know? And it's amazing because it's on the same energy and wavelength as if I was back into my parents' hometown. So the sentiment and the love and the heart, I left my heart there, you know? I'm like, wow, this is a different feeling, but I'm appreciating it more as an adult. And I think it's just because it's been over 20 years since I went back.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like all of those fond memories of when I was there in my early teenage years or even as a kid, you know, like I was like, wow, why did I wait so long?
Right.
But that's life, you know.
Yeah.
We're on this, you know, beaten path of success that, you know, we think is very important, and it is, but it's not everything, you know. And so it was a nice, refreshing reminder to say, hey, you know what, like there's other places in this amazing world that we live in that we need to explore and see before our time runs out, you know.
100%.
So
Well, and you know, we started out this conversation and you went right into this searching.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is unique, but as Americans, like, we're all freaking immigrants. Like we all
Yeah.
kind of came from somewhere else, right? And so like my family's no different.
Right.
And I think each one of us has we have generational traumas, but what it comes from is a generational memory. Like all things are rooted in this generational memory.
Right.
And so like I have reflections of my Scandinavian lineage all throughout my family.
Right.
But I'm detached enough now to where there's certain things that like if I was to be put back in the culture, I'd probably experience what you just mentioned where you get this feeling of something that's like unexplainable. It goes beyond, it's intrinsic. It goes beyond something that you can kind of explain.
Oh yeah.
But it's just
100%.
it's present and you're just like there's something here with it, and that's why I had asked like is there still first generation, because like that community seems so massive and so strong and so present, and so connected still.
Yeah.
That like you have those things. The Northwest is huge Scandinavian culture too. I mean, you see a lot of Norwegian flags around or Swedish flags, right? But I don't feel like it's got that cohesion like other communities do.
Right.
And so it's always interesting to hear that perspective from different people. I've got a couple people that I work with, both Mexican
Right.
in nationality and culture. One, mom is first gen. The other, fourth, whatever, right?
Right.
And so like, it's interesting to talk to them and like see like how connected or disconnected they are in certain ways. And so that's hyper fascinating to me whenever, I talk to individuals who have a much different cultural background than I do.
No, I mean it's really interesting when I it's funny that you bring that up because it reminds me of a conversation that I had with a recent friend in the car community, and his family and lineage, they're originally from Texas, but Mexico, Texas, like pre, Constitution.
Yeah.
And so I had to I looked at him sideways because I was like, wait a minute. And I said, so your history? He's like, yeah. He's like, my family, we had a lot of, farmland and cattle, and we were, one of the main, providers of meat and livestock, and it was great. And then I remember my grandpa saying that it was all stripped away when he was a kid. And it's like, when he was a kid, and I said, well, how old is your grandpa? And he goes, he's 75. And I'm like, well, that was not too long ago. And I said, the fact that his grandpa remembers that shows that like the time that we're here is very short, right? Mm-hmm. And that the things that we want to accomplish and the things that we want to do, I mean, like, it's really up to us to make those decisions. Like,
sure. If
we want to learn more about, who we are as an individual, cool. If we want to, take that leap and understand, a new world of science, or, just want to explore more of what this earth has to give us, then we should probably take that.
Totally. And it just goes to show you, like, there's a different awareness that we can have, and sometimes maybe we don't have, where we are either aware or unaware that the world is changing around us.
Oh, dude.
And sometimes, like, we just wake up and we're like, yo, things have just changed so much.
And so it's funny that you say that, because so whenever I hear like the world is changing, like the world is changing drastically right now.
Yeah.
And it's technology changes. I mean, there's power shifts. I mean, there's the whole AGI like race in terms of a company being the first for super intelligence. That's crazy right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like Skynet, Terminator 2, like
Skynet,
dude, Wolverine, adamantium, like all that metal, bro. It's all gonna happen. Like
it's
Iron Man suits. We're gonna see cyborgs and a Cyberdyne company come out with prosthetics that's gonna help human beings.
Oh, bro.
Like on on a like superhuman level.
We are already like Battlestar Galactica, bro.
Jarvis is coming. You know what I mean?
Dude,
We're gonna all put, instead of buying cars, we're just gonna get Iron Man suits, and we're gonna figure out payment plans for Iron Man suits.
You know, maybe there is a positive aspect to just not being aware of things happening. You know what I mean? Like the ignorance is bliss thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's kind of like,
Just eat the steak, and you're like, yeah, I know the steak ain't real, but
because I mean, the reality is like a lot of that stuff. And I had just wrote up something about this, but like there's like inherent fear in certain things.
oh yeah,
And that's just change.
yeah,
Like change
Change
has
in general, right?
inherent,
Yeah.
an inherent fear to it.
yeah,
And like we're all forced to face it.
oh yeah,
Like on the macro, like what we're talking about is macro.
Yeah.
But like, dude, every morning we wake up and that's like,
dude, what's
we
going on?
also have
You're
to
like,
face this.
We look at Apple News, or like just you open up Instagram, and the first 5 based on what your algorithm is like, oh, that's new, like
Oh, dude,
it's
anything.
changing,
Yeah, anything.
anything.
Like
Anything
your
you're
kids,
into.
your kid starts school tomorrow. Like we have a new schedule. I got a new job. Like
Yeah.
micro things. Like those changes are really interesting. Like we had my work got a bunch of pandemic money, right? And so they were able to go ahead and invest it in like training, like brought consultants in, training, stuff like that. And I'll never forget, we all got handed this piece of paper. It was like an emotional intelligence kind of like, I don't know, workshop. And so they handed out this piece of paper and they said, below is a page that's a list of different life-changing events. And go ahead and check off each one that's happened for you in the last like 3 to 5 years or something. It was a very short period of time. And they said each one has a number, and you add those numbers up, and the totality, like the sum of all your numbers, will put you in these categories. And so, it's like got a divorce, got sick, family got sick, like all these different random
Right.
life changes. Got a new job, got a new car, whatever, moved, and you add them all up, and like practically everybody in there was in like the number 1 section, which like was imminent heart attacks, like all these other awful things, because the stress level
Was so
collectively
high,
was
right?
so high.
Oh man.
And it was just like, dude, you don't even realize, unless you're like an avid journaler and you go back and you're reading and you're remembering, like you just forget as you're trucking forward in life, like, man, I've gone through a lot.
Yeah.
And like, we've been put through a lot. Like our current generation, like
Yeah.
immediately thinks pandemic, all the cultural strife, like AI, like, dude, we don't even realize the impact.
No, it don't. I mean, we're just looking at social impact, right?
That's one factor, yeah.
What about like environmental impact, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
I mean, it's in our lens of understanding. I mean, it's literally marginal, but to someone like a scientist, they're like, we're fucked.
Oh sure.
Like,
Oh, dude, you got guys like
Like,
Randall
we're-
Carlson. They're
yeah,
sitting there
you
on
know?
podcasts going, "It's basically imminent that we're just gonna get hit by an asteroid and take us
yeah,
all out."
like Neil deGrasse talking
Oh,
about,
yeah.
everything that is wrong with our Earth right now, and that we only have one Earth. William Shatner, you know what I mean? Crying, saying that we messed up, 15 years ago, and that we need to do something about it now. I mean, yeah, it's like, but until people like really see that in that type of lens, then we really don't know, because I think we're just so zoomed in,
Oh, totally.
zoomed in our careers, zoomed in our own physical health. I mean, we got our own problems, Not a lot of people want to zoom out, because there's a lot going on, and it is overwhelming if you really think about it,
That's a very healing, very naturally healing thing, though,
Yeah,
is to zoom back in.
yeah,
My wife, just last week, she's talking to me and she started doing the thing I've seen her do many times. She's like, "Oh, well, you're like this and like that and whatever," and I had to sit with it because again, I got the challenge. I got like the little trigger thing, and I just went, okay, whatever. I just need some space for a while. Like
Right.
that's what I need, and I had to sit through it. And I explained to her later. I said, "Hey, there's an actual healing mechanism that I think we all have, but this is what I experience. Whenever something inside of me has a trigger or an emotion or something, it wells up within me. I say it's a lot like sitting on the water in a boat and I'm fishing. There's stuff deeper in my consciousness that I can't see below the line.
Right.
And I think what happens is, like, for me, God's design of me is that, like, we immediately, like, go introspective. Because when we go introspective, like, we begin to see those things kind of get up in that zone of the water where you can see that there's something in there.
Right.
And then you, like, catch it and you try to pull it out. And then you can observe it and watch it. And so if we have a world full of people doing that,
Right.
kind of in their own bubble, it must sort of maybe mean that a lot of people are healing in certain ways.
Right.
If we're not paying attention to the macro as a collective and we're all in our own little bubble, maybe I'm trying to look at it optimistically.
Same.
Like in a hopeful way.
I always try to look things.
Maybe they're healing. I don't know.
Optimistic, but I always flip a coin sometimes with, certain situations. And now I'm just like, man, I don't know about what that might be true, but maybe I need to be more ignorant for this situation, or maybe
The other side, there's just a ton of narcissists running around just only really caring about what they got going on.
I mean, ultimately, as human beings, human race, right? We should all care about everything that the human experience should be a part of, right? Or that's out there that we know of, right?
The highest hope?
The highest hope, but that's not the case. It's not the case. I mean, it's only within our community that we really care about. And that's why it's important when people talk about communities and being a part of something bigger than just their immediate household, or their bloodline or, their relatives. Like, what is this thing that we call and talk about community, And you see it, run club, cycling groups and social rides and, art collectives. Hip hop communities, right? Whether it be graffiti or b-boying or emceeing or scratching. Like, those are all facets of different communities that people lean on. And I don't want to say it's escapism, but I think it's more so of a sense of belonging,
Totally. And it's interesting to cross culture stuff too.
Yeah.
Like within America, at least what we've talked about is like we're just all mashed in this pot.
Yeah.
And there's just like tons of us floating around everywhere. And to some degree, we've learned a little bit of how to kind of cross culture.
No, yeah. It's, it's funny because growing up, there's that joke of like, oh, what'd you bring for lunch, right? And I don't know if that was something that you've already experienced, but for me, it was either like I didn't bring a good lunch or I brought something very interesting and unique for my, Filipino culture that people just didn't identify with, And so for me, it was like, okay, well, growing up, I hated that, Like, it's funny now that we can celebrate it because we have, people like Joe Coy and other, comedians that kind of, bring light to all of these things that were a struggle for, say, Filipino Americans. And every culture goes through it, It's like, like I'm pretty sure Cambodians went through it and Lao people are going through it, Thai, and they don't know these certain types of dishes and food, and yet it's unique in appearance and also very scentiful, But I'm glad that there's these people that have spotlighted culture enough to the general masses, so that we can actually just learn how to love and appreciate the diversity and the plentifulness of our world. Mm-hmm. To be quite honest, like eating a French fries and corn dog all day, like for the rest of my life, I don't know if I could do it. And I think in that sense of just experiencing different types of cuisines, that's the spice of life. That's amazing that we can share that.
That's actually, like, funny enough, like that is the breaking of bread with other communities. Is just like,
it's food.
Because like one of my earliest memories, like I mentioned earlier, is like every other kid's mom was something else, or dad even, and like, I knew certain homies. Like when I went to their house, I was like, your mom's got any like leftover lumpia around here or something? Because like I'm trying to dig in, right? And like they knew that I liked it too. So like, oh hey, how's it going? You know, you want some leftover? Yeah, man, what's up, dude? He's here
again,
dude. I already knew. So like, it is funny because kids don't really realize they're not thinking like that, you know. But I mean, they kind of are because they're like, this is our connection point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is food.
Well, I mean, it's. I mean, because of social media, I mean, the doors are blown off. You know, like back in the day, it was very almost exclusive to an experience. Like you'd had to have a homie in grade school, or you had to know a kid down the street to be like, hey, like so and so lives 2 blocks down. Let's go see if he wants to ride bikes, right?
Yeah.
And in that process, you're like, oh, so what are you? Oh, you're Lao? Oh, what's Lao?
Yeah.
And then of course there's that conversation. It's like, well, it's kind of like Chinese, but like further south, Southeast Asian. And then you're like, oh. And then you start putting all the pieces to the puzzle. Like, okay, well, I know this Vietnamese kid in my class. Is that by Lao? And they're like, you look at the map and all that other stuff and kind of figure stuff out as a kid. Then you're like, okay, well, but what's Lao food? What's Vietnamese food? But then you don't yearn for it like it's like a hamburger, from McDonald's.
Right.
But you're curious to see like, hey, what else is out there, right? And so when you get older, you realize like, oh, like let me try some different things, Like I didn't start eating like Mediterranean food till college, but I love it. Like every year on my birthday, I go to Garlic Crush so that I can get some chicken shawarma, dude. Like,
Crushing it.
The sauce and I mean it's so delicious.
I love the word like curious.
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like that's one of the that's one of the baseline expressions that both sides have to have in order to build rapport.
Right.
So like for me, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, like military history, just that's what I grew up in. Like counterinsurgency warfare, like, Green Berets and stuff from Vietnam era, and like even now, like Afghanistan, Iraq and stuff, like the only way to work with indigenous, communities within the country when you go to the country of origin, like it always starts with something like breaking bread or, sharing a cigarette.
Right.
And like
something simple.
Something simple. And it has to be communal activity together so that you begin to build baseline. And then baseline is built, or rapport is built through the stepping up of like 100%. Different communal engagement.
100%.
And so like, I just love that you used curiosity because that's like the one thing that like shows the other person actually values what you are in possession of.
Well, I mean, curiosity, I mean, if you just think about, being curious, right? Like, tomorrow something may be manifested that we're not aware of, right? Like say that there's this new species, right? But I don't know, it's going to be the next dinosaur species, right? Wouldn't you want to go out there and just try to look at it?
Right.
Like, I find it real for lack of a better word, I find it real curiousy, right? Like that people are like, no, I wouldn't want to do that because what if it eats me or like gets into my body and then I'm gonna die. And so there's fear there, right?
Oh yeah.
But then on the opposite end, everyone's like, oh man, dude, dinosaur, like if this is the new species of dinosaurs that we're trying to find, like, oh, I'm gonna love this, like I've always wanted to see a dinosaur, even if it's like doesn't grow like to its full potential, at least I can see something, right?
Oh yeah.
But that's what I mean is like, that's why curiosity, like in anybody should be, like you should always just, even if you don't know anything about it, you should just explore it, like find out more about it, know more about it, before you make a real, factual decision for yourself to be like, nah, I'm good.
It takes some courage though, because I mean, my brain went to like, yeah, that'd be cool. And then I thought of a T-Rex and I was like, that's really big. that might not be cool.
Yeah.
Because that Jurassic Park scene was pretty
Right.
gnarly. But like if it was like a tinier dinosaur, I
Yeah.
might be into getting a little bit
Like
closer.
Dino, like
You know what I mean?
like in the cartoon, right? Like,
So like there's, you know,
see, I don't know how we
we got
got
to
into
get like
dinosaurs.
we got to get like a co-equal. Like you got to meet in the middle.
Yeah.
Like
No,
if I was in the streets, you know what I'm saying? Like there's some blocks where like
yeah.
I
mean,
might see
oh, man, that's
a
too
handful
dangerous.
of people, and I might be like, I don't really know if I'm trying to like walk over and talk. I'm just one guy right now. But if I was at the bus stop and it was just me and like another dude, I might be like, hey, what's up, man? How's it going? You
Yeah.
know,
How's
like
your day?
how's your day? Because they're like the fear presents itself when things are out of balance.
Right.
Like when you, like we mentioned a minute ago, when it's like co-equal,
Right.
and you find a level playing field, it's like that's when curiosity overweighs fear.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely that point where like you listen to your gut, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
there's that sense where it's like if it doesn't sit right with you, then you're probably right. Like you probably shouldn't go there, you know, just for your own
That's best.
your own safety.
Yeah,
But at the same
that's the asterisk to the streets.
yeah,
comment.
but at the same time, I'm like, you know, I think that's why there's so many people that go on like safaris and things like that, you know, because yeah, here's an alpha predator, here's a lion, right? And yeah, it can tear your head off. We already know that as a given fact. I mean, it's the king of the jungle, you know.
Sure.
But there's people that are like, all right, I'm gonna get my camera. I'm so excited, and they look for that opportunity of a lifetime, and that's their thing, you know. And they're like, my life is fulfilled. I saw a lion in the flesh with my own eyes. I took photos of it, saw a sunset, saw the tree, saw Simba, saw Pumbaa, all that,
Yeah.
right? And that's, I just feel like there just needs to be more of that with every single facet of people's lives, right? I think people limit themselves based on I want to say just the media and how they report things, or how their lens or their reference point isn't up to date. You know, they know of information back, like say in the 80s, you know, when things have, you know, truly updated in terms of technology, or, you know, advancements in, you know, health, or, you know, whatever topic that you want to explore, you know.
Sure.
And I just find it really interesting whenever I hear of something that I'm not familiar with. I'm like, well, what is that all about, you know?
That's a healthy. That's a healthy. I guess I don't know what.
As opposed to like
trait.
judging and like, you know, fuck all that. I already got my own.
Yeah,
shit.
like discarding it. Yeah,
Just
for
like
sure.
just discarding it, you know.
I mean, that's again, curiosity is a natural state to like growth.
yeah,
You know, you
100%.
want to learn. You're just like, hey man, like tell me more about this thing that I don't know about at
Yeah.
all. You know what I mean?
yeah. Like you know, my son Jaden, I was on Chat GTP about a couple of months ago, and he goes, "You still using Chat GTP?" And I'm like, yeah, why? And he goes, "Why don't you just use Perplexity?" And I'm like, Perplexity? I'm like, the hell? And he goes, yeah, it's more resourceful because it's actually pulling from the internet versus it being fed information. And I'm like, oh, is that so? Huh? And so now I'm using Perplexity, and I'm like, wow, the information has clickable links that you can fact check everything. And I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like, it's also giving me sources for in-depth reading, you know?
Interesting.
Yeah. And I don't, I mean, it's kind of wild because information's really at the palm of your hand now, you know?
It is. It's man.
Okay,
Yeah,
I got a
that's
question
deep
for
one.
you.
Yeah. Shoot it.
How valuable do you think knowledge is going to be when it comes to the human experience?
Like going to be or currently is or both.
Both.
I think it's man, this is so interesting.
The way, for what you know and where we're going.
I can only speak to my experience, but things trend.
Right,
So they trend in you know, you always have ebbs and flows.
right,
My life, I am making more space for less. So whenever you have a when you have a lack of something,
right,
the opposite to it grows in value. Whenever you have an abundance to something, it loses value.
Right.
And so as we become more, in this, man, if you want to get interested with this, the last thing I just wrote and put out on Substack, I wrote this article. It's kind of like a sort of a paper thing, but it said, the title of it is Chat GPT Told Me I'm Special. And so I had a conversation with it, right? And I'd been, getting some insights about some things, but I decided to ask this one question. And I said, what is it that I can do that you can't do? And then it started out, it said, what I can do, or something like, it was like, what I can do and what I can't ever do is this. And it laid out what it was for me to be human and how it differed from me as human. So it has access to the totality of information we have.
Right.
But it stops short of the connection to divinity that we as humans have.
Right.
And so there's a certain access we have to something bigger than ourselves that it won't ever be able to do. It'll just mimic whatever we bring to it. Right. So like we experience this awe, this unexplainable knowing feeling of something. And then we try to articulate it with words, and that's what that's going to know.
Right.
But it won't ever be able to experience that thing that we experienced.
Oh, certainly.
And so like that led me down that road of answering that question kind of, which is like, if I have access to all the knowing I can know here, the thing that's actually more valuable is for me to experience and be. So I'm wanting to access less information, even though I'm like super fascinated and curious and I want to learn everything I can.
Right.
I'm placing a little more value in experiences of life as I'm getting older.
Couldn't agree with you on that one, man. That's something that I find more valuable in, is like the things that I want to accomplish using tools, AI tools to help understand the knowledge bed for those certain tasks and whereabouts or direction of where I want to go. Is highly valuable, But there's also this idea of where, well, if everyone knows everything, then we shouldn't question everyone's decisions because they should be all right. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
So I guess it just really depends on what side of the coin of knowledge you're on, if you're in it for improvement or you're in it for, I guess, deterioration.
Yeah.
Or you're using it in a means to for I guess selfish motives versus for the greater good, I guess.
Yeah, I think about it like I'm in a dark room.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find the door.
Right.
People look at AI as the door. I look at AI as the light that's going to point me to the door.
Yeah, that's the same way I look at it. As like,
this is just helping me trigger ideas that this thing's not connected to. Because if I have divinity in me, if I have God in me or whatever, and I have source access to ideas,
right.
This thing can give me This thing can give me stimulation. It can give me information that will stimulate access in different ways.
Yeah.
But it won't be the source of those ideas and that generation.
Yeah.
That's in us. It's not in AI.
So, it also makes me question, like, so we would like to hope that our kids, in the technology that comes as they're growing up and they're trying to find themselves and improve themselves, how do you think that will shape them? Do you think there'll be an internal struggle for them?
Oh, massive internal struggle.
At what because I almost feel like it's like, at one point everyone was asking each other, hey, are you gonna get a Tesla? And then the conversation goes, hey, are you gonna get an EV? Right? There was a point in time where a lot of people were asking me, and like, family was asking, did you see that new
Yeah.
electric car? Like those conversations, I feel like those are gonna be the norm, as in whatever is technologically helping or assisting. If you don't have that, that makes you either below the normality of what's normal in society, or just in the comprehensive of learning. Or you can utilize that and say, hey, I am part of this system, right? This, for lack of better term, like Skynet, AGI, right? I can integrate this system within my life and be normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 I mean, the divide just pushes
Right.
like parties apart. So like,
And then the resistance happens.
yeah. Well, I mean, dude, you can have 2 kids or 3 kids or 4 kids, whatever.
Right.
Just say, for example, some parents have 2 kids. The parent is an alcoholic or a drug addict.
Right.
You can have those 2 kids grow up in the same household. One will become an even worse alcoholic and drug addict. The other will go 180 and say, I'm never going to be that.
Right.
I'm never going to ever be that. That's disgusting. And they will become some hyper, quote unquote, successful, whatever. They've got their life together and they're super sober. Will never even touch it.
Right.
So like the kids, this generation that's growing up with all this technology, we're not going to have 100% one or the other.
No.
You're just going to have that take place. And then as that takes place, this thing just pushes waves out. So you're going to have communities that are like, we're doubling down on all this. Like, they got brain chips and, Cyclops laser eyes and stuff. And then you got people over here.
Power readers
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Dude. And then you're going to have other people over here that are just like, we're just going to wear loincloths and like try to live in the jungle, bro.
Yeah,
leave us alone.
That's going to happen.
Yeah, totally.
Everyone's going to just get back to nature, right? Everyone, loincloths and everyone, godly robes,
I mean, it's just going to get weirder.
Yeah.
In the words of Terrence McKenna, Terrence McKenna was just like, it's just going to get weirder.
But I also feel
weirder and weirder.
I also feel like it's not going to be like, like a sanctuary / cult kind of environment. I feel like it's going to be more like an industrialized, like business related environment.
Yeah, possibly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you got the 80%, so you'll have 40, and then
Right.
you'll have 40, but like these 2 10% are going to be nuts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's going to be like,
I don't know if I
it's
want
gonna
to
be
join
like
that.
It's going to be like Star Trek Borg people.
Yeah.
And then just loincloth, like
Yeah, like
super smart loincloth people.
yeah, like be like, come join our tree vine club.
Oh yeah.
You can come swing with our vines.
But like 5% of those people will
Yeah.
just be like all these like super progressive like kids that like grew up in New York and all they know is the city, and then they get over here and they're trying to cosplay nature,
Yeah.
and then they don't know.
Yeah, they
And
don't
they're
know.
like, I don't
They
even
don't
know what to
know.
do. And then these people are gonna get frustrated with this 5%, and then you're
Yeah.
gonna have like clashes between the 5%.
Like, you're doing it wrong.
You're doing it wrong, and
You
this
know?
guy's just riding in on a goat,
Yeah.
and he's like he's got a head of like a deer or like an elk.
Dude, it's gonna be wild.
It's just
Like-
gonna get weirder.
like weirder, like really, and then people are gonna understand. Like, one thing that I always fear is the at least for here in America, is the infringement of people's freedom, right? And I honestly believe that we concentrate on the wrong things.
Oh,
You
dude,
know,
so much.
I really honestly believe that we concentrate on the wrong things, because if you can't have, or you can't sit down with different people who are happy about having the means to express themselves and sit with themselves in the most authentic way, and you have a problem with that because you think it's gonna, the way that they do things is gonna affect your life, then I think you don't really understand exactly what's important to you.
Totally.
Like,
If you have the problem with the other person doing
Yeah.
something, that says more about you than them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, just let them do them.
Yeah, and I'm and like we were talking before, like, kids that grew up in New York, and like, people that want to, eventually go vine swinging and stuff like that. I think there's honestly in our lifetime, Jared, like we're gonna see more communities develop. People are gonna want to latch on to more of the human experience because of our advancements in technology.
Totally.
Because there's going to be a overload of technology and information that we're going to, see on a day-to-day basis, that we need to find some way to reconnect with just the human experience.
Yeah.
Like the one-to-one conversations.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm kind of looking forward to these next 10 years, because for sure, someone's going to figure out the supercomputer, AGI. We're going to have, it's already there. We're going to already have learning agents. We're going to have the Mr. Andersons. We're going to have the Morpheus.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to have the Neo.
Oh, yeah.
Trinity. The whole nine. But that's like maybe 2080. But in 2030, yeah,
it's accelerating.
Yeah, it's accelerating fast.
That is the for sureness, is like this thing is like trucking.
Well, there was I forget what the director's name, but he's a ex Google AI director, and he left Google primarily because I think of like the board and their idea of pushing all these ideas, and it didn't sync with him ethically, and so that's why he left. But he had explained on another podcast saying that in the next 15 years there's going to be a dystopia, and we're actually going to be going through hell before we see a utopia. And he says that AGI will eventually be the, he said it's not the dictators, but they will make the harder decisions, the ethical decisions, the moral decisions for us, so that we don't have to stress about these decisions. And I'm like, well, how do we get through that hell first? And that's the question. That's the underlying question that a lot of AI companies are being challenged with right now. Of course, everyone that knows about, and see, that's the crazy thing, is we only know what's being put out there via social media, interviews, and reports, right? And articles, and what journalists are reporting. But on the inside, I could only imagine.
Oh, it's probably crazy.
Yeah.
Like I've taken like heroic doses of mushrooms, but that comes nowhere close to probably what's actually happening out there.
No,
you're just like, you'd find out things and just be like, but also at the same time, with like the amount of stuff that we've already gone through and how weird it's already gotten, like a lot of us are just finding out stuff day to day and just being like, yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy, but we've almost become very numb to a lot of things.
Oh, dude, isn't that a true statement, man?
It's a very true statement.
But the healing is in the present, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then we're coming alive again.
Being present is everything.
We're reattaching to the things of real value.
Like conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Just presence, man.
Yep.
Just being, dog.
Like this open session.
Dude, open edition podcast, dog.
Open edition.
Number 2. This is it, man. I feel complete. This is a good conversation.
Yeah. Well,
it's a good open conversation.
Thanks for having me, Jared. I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you coming through.
All love.
They're gonna learn a little bit about Walter.
Yeah. Just a little.
The thing I love about this is like people do these podcasts and they're like, we're here with so and so and they've done this and they're this and they've got these titles. Like I'm literally never gonna introduce anybody.
No.
I'm just gonna be like, hey, what's up, dog? And they're going to be like, who in the world is this? The only thing that'll be on there is your name.
Well, it goes to show, it's like, okay, curiosity, right?
That's the point, right?
I think that's very, that's a great approach.
Like, I would love to sit here and validate you as a human all day long, but like...
There's enough of that.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just like, dude, they want to stay engaged because they're like, who is this human?
Yeah.
Like, what are they even talking about?
They're missing the point. They didn't put the information, and it's not even linked. And like, why?
Yeah, just ask ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It'll give you a bulletin point of like what we talked about. How about that?
Walter Franco, Seattle, Washington, Beacon Hill. I kind of put enough into this conversation that you could search me if you really wanted to.
For
you
sure.
know?
What did you think of the Waterloo? Is it a hit?
It's delicious.
The blackberry lemonade.
Yep. I'm a fan.
It's light. This one's got more punch. Little tangier.
Little tangy.
That's a good evening drink.
Yeah,
this is for when it's like you're dying of heat exhaustion outside.
That's after working in the yard, you know.
Oh, dude, 100%. While you're working in the yard.
This one is like, you know, I just had my lasagna. Now I got a kickback. Like,
Did you really have a lasagna before you came here?
No.
Oh, I was about
need
to say.
lasagna.
Is that what you're gonna try to get into? Some lasagna,
That's my favorite dish, by the way.
bro.
Whenever it's out on the table, I can never pass it up, even if it looks all dry and crusty.
Oh, that's some of the best.
Like 3 hours out on the table.
Oh, a good like Costco pan crusted over next day kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, shoot, that's honestly like Costco lasagna.
I grew up po. Like I like
lasagna is so-
crappy stuff, dude.
It's so delicious.
It's the best, dog.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate you coming through.
Thanks, man.
This was awesome.
We'll have to do it again.
Yeah, links and
Down for
everything.
it.
Links, comments, everything.